What is going on, everyone? I'm back again, and we're doing a vlog this time. So I recently picked up a webcam, and I figured, well, since I got a webcam now, might as well start doing vlogs. I'm also going to be incorporating the webcam into my gameplay that I'm going to be doing. So I play a lot of games, guys. It's one of the things that I really enjoy doing, and there's a lot of games that I play that I simply don't record the footage for because I'm just chilling out trying to play a game. But what I can do is, when I beat a game or when I'm done playing it, I can just turn on the camera and talk about it. Basically what I'm going to be doing is, these vlogs aren't really going to be reviews or anything like that, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to talk about the game and the things I like and don't like about it, but these videos aren't really going to be reviews. They're basically just going to be my, in general, thoughts about whatever game I just got done playing. I've been actually watching a lot of vlog content on YouTube lately, and it's something I want to get into. But anyways, guys, for this video, I'm going to be talking about Tales of Berseria. So what do I think about Tales of Berseria? So Tales of Berseria is actually a prequel to Tales of Zestiria, and I guess I should talk about my history with the Tales series really quick. The Tales series is a game series that I haven't really had too much experience with. The first time I played it was actually Zestiria, and to be honest, I didn't really like it too much. It had this really weird equipment system where there were different perks on the different gear you had, and then if you lined those skills up into this like tree thing, I don't know. The point is, the gear system just kind of confused me, and I thought, man, if this is what Tales games are like, I don't really think I'm going to enjoy this series too much. But regardless, I got pretty far in Zestiria. I ended up beating all of the temples, I think they're called in the game. You know, you got the fire temple and the wind temple and all that shit. And I got to the part where you're supposed to fight Alicia's mentor or whatever. And that was pretty much at the point where I gave up on the game. So I got pretty far. I'm pretty sure I was close to the end, and then I just gave up on it because I wasn't really enjoying it. I did some research online, and apparently the combat system in Zestiria, with the equipment system and all that stuff, I learned it was completely different than the Tales games previously from that. So I thought, okay, apparently this one game that I wasn't really that big of a fan of is way different than the other Tales games, and I'll give it another try. And I really enjoyed Tales of Berseria. They changed the combat system. In this game you have these, I want to say combo points. I don't remember their official name, but basically you have a bunch of orbs that you can gain from stunning people, or you pick them up on the map, and that allows you to do combos with arts. You can then spend those combo points. They're called break souls. That's what they're called. You can then spend those souls to basically prolong your combos, and it's a lot of fun. I played through pretty much the entire game with the Velvet. I didn't change up any characters or play as any other characters. I played as Velvet the entire time, and I had a lot of fun with the combat system. I think it's way better than the combat system in Zestiria. It was a lot of fun chaining combos together after the fourth art, break souling, dealing a ton of damage, stunning everyone. I thought it was a way funner combat system than Zestiria. On top of that, you had way more freedom with the characters that you can swap in and out of your party. In Zestiria, you were limited to having 2 human characters and then 2 Malachim, and you couldn't really switch it out. Like, you couldn't have 1 human character and 3 Malachim, for an example. In Berseria, it gives you a lot more freedom. You can pretty much have any 4 characters in your party at any time, and you can freely swap them out no matter who you want in the battle, which I thought was a pretty big improvement over Zestiria. So the characters in Berseria, I think overall I liked the characters in Zestiria more, actually, even though I thought the gameplay and combat in Berseria was way better than Zestiria. I really liked the characters in Zestiria more, but that doesn't mean that there weren't characters I didn't like in Berseria. My favorites were probably Magilu, Laphicet, and Eisen. I thought those were the really interesting characters that I ended up liking a lot by the end of the game. So the main character in Berseria is Velvet, and I thought Velvet was a pretty cool character. At one point in the game, she pretty much gives up all hope, and at that point, I kind of stopped liking her when, like, she's been working this entire time to get to her goal, and then at one point in the game, she just completely gives up, and that was the moment where I kind of started to dislike Velvet, but for the most part, I think she was a pretty cool character. She's kind of got this, like, monotone vibe, and she doesn't really show too much emotions, which can lead to some funny parts in the game. Combat-wise, she's a blast to play. You know, getting souls and stunning people, break souling to extend your combos. She's an absolute delight to play, and I loved playing her. Especially when compared to Zestiria, where I wasn't really that big of a fan of Rokurou and his story about how he wanted to kill his brother and whatnot. I thought Rokurou was probably the most boring character in the entire game. I didn't really connect to him in any way, so in my opinion, he's probably the weakest character of the cast. Next, you have Magilu, the witch, she's kind of like the comedic relief in Berseria. I really enjoyed her as a character. In fact, she's probably my favorite party member in the game, just because she's always just joking around and having a good time. And next you had Eisen, which is another character I really liked. I thought it was really cool how he has this, rebirth curse where misfortune follows him everywhere he goes, but the main party in Berseria don't really care. I thought that was really cool. And also, he is the older brother of one of the characters in Zestiria, which I thought was pretty cool. Next, you have Laphicet, which is another character I really, really enjoyed. It was kind of cool how he just slowly starts getting his humanity back from kind of being just this empty shell of a Malachim into the character he turns into later on. I really liked his character development, and his side quest is really good in the game. It's probably my favorite side quest out of all the characters. And last is, of course, Eleanor. Eleanor is one of those characters that I didn't really enjoy that much as well. Eleanor, like Rokurou, just kind of bored me. I didn't really like Eleanor too much. The characters that I enjoyed the most were definitely Magilu, Eisen, and Laphicet, in that order. I liked Velvet a lot, even though towards the end of the game, there's one point where she kind of gives up, which is kind of annoying. I started to really not like Velvet that much at that part, but for the most part, I thought Velvet was a pretty cool character, even though really her entire motivation is just revenge. So overall, I think I enjoyed the characters more in Zestiria, actually. But the gameplay, in my opinion, is hands down, it's better in Berseria, for sure. Speaking of Zestiria, I really liked the connections that it had to Zestiria. I thought that was really cool. The game drops a ton of hints that implies that some of the towns and cities in Berseria turn into some of the towns and cities in Zestiria, which I thought was pretty cool. On top of that, there's a lot of connections, like, for example, Eisen being the older brother of Edna, Magalu having the last name Maven, which means that she's probably most likely related to the Maven in Zestiria. This caught me way off guard. At the end of Berseria, Laphicet becomes Mautelis, which is, of course, a direct correlation to Zestiria. In Zestiria, Mautelis's vessel is the land, and the shepherd sacrifices him or some shit, and that eventually creates the Lord of Calamity in Zestiria. This is probably the coolest connection that Berseria and Zestiria had together, is that in Zestiria, you play as the shepherd, and the main villain you're going up against is the Lord of Calamity, Heldolf. Well, in Berseria, actually, as you progress through the game, and you get like halfway through the game, people start calling you the Lord of Calamity, which I thought was really cool. Kind of shows you how this legend of the Lord of Calamity eventually started, and it's just kind of cool because in Zestiria, you are the shepherd and you're going against the Lord of Calamity. In Berseria, you are the Lord of Calamity and you're going against the shepherd, which I thought was really cool. One complaint I had about this game is there's a couple parts in the game that I noticed the spoken dialogue didn't match what was written as the subtitles on the screen. I understand that this is a game from Japan, and it was obviously made with Japanese text and Japanese voices, and then it was then localized into English. So I do kind of give games a little bit of a break on that if maybe the translations aren't as good, but it just seemed odd that what was translated on the screen through the subtitles, the voices didn't match that. I noticed this happen a handful of times. My guess is around 5, so it is kind of nitpicky, but it's just something that I noticed along the way. I'm sure there was a bunch of other times where what was being said didn't match what was on the screen, and I just didn't notice, but it's just a minor complaint. This is just an annoying thing that I thought I'd mention, but when I was originally going to be buying this game, I looked on Amazon, and the price was like really high for some reason. I don't know why. So I actually went down to GameStop and I bought it used for $40, and then like a couple weeks later, I saw it on Amazon new for $30, which kind of annoyed me. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I still got the game, but I paid $10 extra for something I could have gotten new off of Amazon, so that kind of annoyed me. After being lukewarm on Zestiria, I honestly didn't know what I was going to think about Berseria, but I'm glad I picked this up because I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'm really excited to play the future Tales games that come out from now on. Overall, I really enjoyed this game, and I'm very excited to play the future Tales games in the future. I might even go back and check out the older ones that I never played. So thank you all for watching. Hopefully you liked this. I'm probably going to be doing a lot more of these vlogs in the future whenever I beat games, and just to talk about them, give you my final thoughts on what I think. If you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe. And before I head out, I got one last question for you. Why do birds fly?